What if the miracle you are waiting for is not the final destination, but only the beginning of something deeper? What if healing the body is only part of the story, and the real question is what happens after the healing? And what if the most important response in life is not receiving something, but recognizing the one who gave it? In Luke 17:11-19, Jesus encounters 10 men who are facing one of the most painful conditions in the ancient world: leprosy. This was not just a physical illness, it was also a social separation. Those who had it were often isolated from their families, communities, and normal life. They lived on the margins, defined by their condition rather than their identity. The story begins as Jesus is traveling along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he enters a village, 10 men with leprosy stand at a distance. They do not come close, because the law and social norms required separation. Instead, they raise their voices and call out to him, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." This is not a casual request. It is a cry from people who have likely been ignored, avoided, and excluded for a long time. They do not ask for money or status. They ask for mercy. And Jesus responds in a way that might seem simple at first, but carries deep meaning. He looks at them and says, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." At that moment, nothing visibly has changed. There is no immediate healing described, no dramatic touch, no instant transformation. Instead, he gives them an instruction that, according to tradition, would normally be given after healing had already occurred. The priests were the ones who would confirm that someone was clean and could re-enter society. So Jesus is essentially asking them to act as if healing is already in progress. And something remarkable happens. As they go, they are cleansed. The healing takes place in motion, not in stillness. It happens while they are obeying, not before they move. This detail is important because it shifts the focus from waiting to responding. They are not healed before they step forward. They are healed as they obey. All 10 of them experience the same miracle. All 10 are restored physically. All 10 receive the gift of healing. But what happens next separates the story into 2 paths. One of them, when he sees that he is healed, turns back. He praises God in a loud voice. He throws himself at Jesus' feet and thanks him. The text adds a key detail. This man was a Samaritan. This is significant because Samaritans and Jews often had deep social and cultural divisions. Yet in this moment, he is the one who recognizes what has happened and responds with gratitude. Jesus then asks a question that echoes through the passage. Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Only this one returned to give thanks and praise God. And then Jesus says something powerful. Rise and go. Your faith has made you well. At first glance, it might seem that all 10 received healing. So what does this extra statement mean? The key lies in the difference between being healed and being made whole in a deeper sense. Physical condition was restored for all 10, but only one returned with awareness, gratitude, and recognition of the source of the healing. The story is not only about physical restoration, it is about response. The 9 continue on their way. They have what they asked for. Their immediate need is met. But the narrative does not describe their return, their gratitude, or their reflection. It simply moves on. The one who returns steps into something different. He does not just receive healing, he enters relationship. This distinction is subtle but important. In life, there are moments when people receive what they have been asking for. Relief comes, pressure lifts, a situation changes. But the question this passage raises is what happens after the change. Do we continue forward without reflection, or do we pause and recognize the source of what we have received? The man who returns does 3 things. He turns back, he praises God, and he gives thanks to Jesus. Each action reveals something deeper. Turning back means choosing to interrupt his forward movement. He does not continue with the others. He stops his progress to acknowledge what has happened. Praising God shows recognition that the healing is not random or accidental. It has a source beyond human explanation. And giving thanks to Jesus expresses personal gratitude directed toward the one who spoke the word that changed his condition. Jesus' question about the 9 is not asked from confusion, but from reflection. It draws attention to a gap between receiving and recognizing. All 10 experienced the same miracle, but only one responded in a way that completed the relational aspect of the event. The phrase, "your faith has made you well," adds another layer. It suggests something beyond physical healing. It points toward wholeness that includes awareness, gratitude, and connection. Faith here is not only about asking, it is also about responding. The 9 had faith to call out. They obeyed the instruction to go. They received healing along the way. But the one who returns demonstrates a continued expression of faith that goes beyond receiving. He acknowledges the giver. This passage quietly challenges the idea that receiving is the final goal. It suggests that recognition is part of transformation. There is also a contrast in movement. All 10 move forward after Jesus speaks. Only one changes direction after seeing the result. That moment of turning back is the defining action of the story. It is easy to move forward when life improves. It is less common to pause and reflect on where improvement comes from. The returning man breaks the pattern of forward-only movement. He reorients himself toward the source of grace. And in that reorientation, something deeper is revealed. Gratitude is not just a reaction, it is a form of awareness. The 9 are not described as doing anything wrong. They simply continue. But the story highlights absence rather than accusation. Where are the other 9 is a question that invites reflection, not condemnation. It is a question about attention. It is possible to receive something valuable and still miss the meaning of it. The Samaritan's identity also adds depth. He is an outsider in the cultural context of the time, yet he is the one who recognizes and returns. This detail suggests that awareness is not limited by background or status. Sometimes recognition comes from unexpected places. The story also shows that distance is not the issue. All 10 were far from normal life due to their condition, but only one changes direction after healing. This suggests that proximity to a miracle is not the same as understanding it. Another important element is timing. The healing happens while they are going, not before they move. That means obedience precedes visible change. They act on instruction before seeing results. This creates a pattern. Trust leads to action, action leads to change, and awareness determines response. The final statement of Jesus connects faith and wholeness. The one who returns receives a deeper recognition of well-being. This implies that wholeness is not only physical restoration, it includes relational and spiritual awareness. The story does not suggest that the 9 lose their healing. It simply leaves their response unrecorded. The focus remains on the difference between receiving and recognizing. In many ways, this passage invites reflection on how people respond to answered prayers, resolved problems, or unexpected blessings. Do we continue forward as if nothing deeper is required? Or do we pause long enough to acknowledge the source of change? The returning man models a slower, more reflective response. He interrupts momentum to express gratitude. That interruption becomes the turning point of his story. He does not just receive healing, he experiences acknowledgement, connection, and deeper understanding. The others experience healing and continue forward. The contrast is not about superiority, it is about awareness. One path moves forward without pause, the other returns to recognize. Both receive something. But only one completes the circle of response. Jesus' question lingers beyond the story. It is not answered within the narrative, it remains open. Where are the other 9? The question extends beyond the text, inviting each listener to consider their own patterns of response. When something changes for the better, where does attention go? When relief arrives, what happens next? When help is received, is it recognized? The story does not require complex interpretation. Its power lies in its simplicity. 10 were healed, 1 returned, and in that return something deeper than healing is revealed. A connection is acknowledged, a source is recognized, and gratitude becomes an act of faith. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to your heart, please take a moment to like the video, follow the channel, and share it with someone who may need this reminder today.